Welcome to Charts and Coffee Gang. Happy Friday. Happy non-farm payroll Friday. We just finished up a session of our non-farm payroll hot zone trading. So I figure we can kick off our session, our Charts and Coffee episode with that. So every now and then we have 8:30 hot zones, which is to say we have a high impact, high volatility data release that's going to make the market pretty volatile. But since we have the ability to measure volatility via the hourly price movement ranges, we have a unique opportunity to trade this event with those zones, right? And so that's what we did this morning. So I thought I'd give you all a quick glimpse into what we just finished doing in the Sector Secrets Mastery room, which you can check out if you'd like. I think up until midnight tonight, probably, or early tomorrow morning. The sale that's going on at the simplertrading.com website, 30% off. I think it's off everything. So if you want to check it out, this is a great time to do it. Save a lot of dollars doing it. So what we did is we identified the two zones, and that's what you see there in the notes, right? So this is how we set up the trades. You can see the notes, and that way everyone can place the limit orders and the stop orders, etc. So the sale's good till July 9. Oh, okay, good to know. All right, so then we place our limit orders and we wait for the market to come to us, and that's what we did. So the pink line, you can see there, 266 and a quarter. The other pink line, 297, that's where we got our fills inside the zone. And then we waited for the market to sell off to that pingala, as we like to call it, the 50%. We scaled out at 207 and a half, and that was our morning. Now, I kept the leash pretty tight on this trade. So after moving lower from, well, for example, from 297 to 07, that's a 90-point move in the NASDAQ. So at, let's see here, I have a calculator hand. There we go. So if you don't know what a 90-point move in the NASDAQ minis are, it's $20 per point. So it's $1,800 per contract. So for those of you that are wondering, well, what about if I traded the micros? Then that's $180. So it's 1/10 the size. Ultimately, what we want to remember is that this is a very high heat and futures only window, but it's kind of cool because for those of you that are comfortable trading futures and options, we do both in the mastery. So this was a mastery session in the Sector Secrets Mastery. After 9:30, we can start trading QQQs and we can start trading the options on stocks and ETFs and everything else. But we also have the ability to trade pre-market stuff. And that's where an event like non-farm payroll works in pretty nicely for some of our more advanced, maybe more risk tolerance members. So it's fun. It's a fun way to start a Friday, and a pretty darn good way to start a Friday. All right. And that's where I am right now. And a lot of times what happens after non-farm is we will have that echo, oftentimes event at the bell. Because remember, there's a whole group of traders, equity traders, that do not have access to the market at 8:30 Eastern, but have access to the market at 9:30. So we'll sometimes see an echo of that. And there might be an opportunity there. So we'll see what happens. But it's a brand new day, really, at 9:30. Okay, so let's see here. Let's grab some questions as always. Yeah, Bot says winning before the market opens. Well, before the stock market opens anyways, is a great way to start a Friday. Yeah, it is. But as much as I walk through the traders of what the potential, well, what the reward was this morning, the risk is considerable. It is a high heat, volatile event, and the risk can be considerable. Yeah. And if you're wondering, Raghee, was it only the NASDAQ you set up? No, we were looking to set up the S&P as well. It's just that the S&P did not trigger. So we were looking for a similar trade on the S&P, but it's the NASDAQ that went into our zone and therefore was the first and only opportunity for the short this morning. All right. So as always, gang, thank you so much for being here for the show. Let's jump into the questions. First up from our training room. All right. JR asks, what do I think of gold near term? So JR, I don't think in spans of weeks like that. So the question is, what do I think of GLD for the near term, the next couple of weeks? I just look at what the current structure is on gold. And so I'll start with GC, JR. I won't go right to GLD because remember, GLD is the 9:30 to 4 version of what is nearly a 24-hour gold futures contract. And so I'll look at gold futures, which has gone into a downtrend. So if you ask me what the directional bias is, it's likely down for me. However, if I want to look at it, say on the 60-minute time frame, it's sort of bearish to neutral. But my outlook would be based on the current structure, having gone from a neutral market now to a bearish market, it's a little bit more bearish than it would have been, say, at the end of last week. Yeah, a little bit more bearish. All right. So next up is from our for our YouTube. All right, Danny asked, do I use the HPMR on news like non-farm? Yeah, great question, Danny. And I saw you followed it up. You got your answer. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason we can, and I know some people get very torqued at me when I say this, but the reason I say I prefer the HPMRs to ATR is because an ATR has no clue what happened last Friday and the Friday before that and the Friday before that. In fact, HPMRs will take advantage of roughly 24 Fridays. That's what's in the historical volatility. If I have a 7 setting on the ATR or a 14 setting on the ATR, or even a 21 setting, which is a pretty big setting for most people on an average true range, an ATR, on a 5-minute time frame, that's 105 minutes, right? So consider the historical understanding of 24 Fridays as opposed to the previous 105 minutes. And so that's why I say I trust them, because they're designed to take advantage of these patterns that occur either on a certain day or at a certain time. So it could be DPMRs, it could be HPMRs, right? We're looking at the historical volatility, either based on the time, the hour, or the day of the week. And therefore, yes, absolutely. And thank you for the question. That's exactly what we set that NQ trade up. Oh, well, NQ and ES. And NQ just happened to be the one where the market threw the ball and it was over the plate for us. Okay, next up is, let's see here. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, absolutely. We've been doing charts and coffee now. I think this October, which will be here before we know it, will be 3 years of charts and coffee. Yeah, so I appreciate y'all showing up. When we first started doing this, I think I was doing it on my YouTube channel at Raghee Horner, and I think we had maybe 50 people, right? And I said, this is kind of fun. And, almost 2.5 years later, here we are still doing charts and coffee. So I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you. Okay, next up is, what are my thoughts on SHOP? Hey there, JK from our training room. All right, let me move the intraday aside. And what are my thoughts on SHOP? So SHOP is in an uptrend. JK, we always start with structure. We're above the 200 propulsion, which is to say we're on the bullish side of the bullish hemisphere, or the bullish side of the equator, which is that 200. And when I look at SHOP, I'll tell you what, there's your DPMR. There you go. There's your DPMR. So if we can sink down to the gray zone, if that's what the aftermath of non-farm payroll ultimately is. And by the way, gang, unemployment ticked up 1/10. Non-farm was a miss compared to expectations. And the previous non-farm was actually revised lower. So this is all quote unquote bad news. Bad news is usually bullish for the market. So let's see what happens. But I would still look to the long side in a lot of these uptrends. SHOP would definitely be one of them. Yeah, SHOP would definitely be one of them. MB asks, what is my YouTube channel? Oh, yeah, it's pretty simple. If you head on over to youtube.com and just search me, search Raghee Horner. If not, I believe it's youtube.com/Raghee Horner. It's just my first and last name, no spaces, no dashes, no underscores. Yeah, so it's just youtube.com. Here it is. Yeah, youtube.com/ there we go, at Raghee Horner. Yeah, so Charts and Coffee goes live there. And then if I do Benzinga, which I do from time to time, that'll go there. So I have some other videos there that, and we're going to continue to expand on that. We have, I think, the Trish Boss has been working on some more videos in terms of getting people up to speed with the way that I trade, and some nice bite-sized chunks. We get a lot of great feedback on, hey, Rog, yeah, can you explain this to me in 3 minutes? I don't want to spend, 67 minutes watching a video on long calls. I'm with you, right? So we're going to be putting a whole lot more there. So if you have not subscribed yet, do so. There's going to be some great stuff coming your way this summer. All right. So thank you for the question. All right. Next up is, let's see there. Tesla. Sure. So always starting with the directional bias. What is the structure? What's the path of least resistance, trend, whatever you want to call it? Tesla is up, and it's been up ever since it's been able to get some traction north of the 200. I used a propulsion for that, which is the combination of a fast and slow exponential moving average. It's automated. It's not as fancy as it sounds, as multisyllabic as it is. It's just an 8-period exponential moving average and a 200 period. And then when they interact in the right way, the lights turn on, right? So here we have an overall uptrend. I would wait for a pullback to the DPMR. A lot of the trends, gang, right now are arguably parabolic, accelerated. We're nowhere near mean reversions. Whether you're a fan of a mean reversion like myself at the 34, or whether you're a fan of a mean reversion at the 21, either way, we're just nowhere near those reversions to the mean, retracements, etc. What has been working pretty well is pullbacks to the volatility zone, in this case, the DPMRs. And that's what I'd wait on there. MB, I'd wait for a buy off the daily price movement range. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Next up is, nope, hang on, gang. Let me catch up with the questions. What time do I start measuring pre-market? Green eggs and ham? Oh, great question. So one of the things that Bot and I have been talking about doing is a little bit more of that pre-market watch list. Because, for example, on Wednesday, we traded Meta, right? And Meta was already on my radar. It was a relative outperformer, and threads had been released, and it was just already showing signs pre-market of being a symbol to keep an eye on. And we ultimately traded Meta for, gosh, on Wednesday, we day traded that for a nice 2.5 winner, right? It was 2.5 times what we paid for the option. Simple long call, gang. And so then what is something I'm thinking about doing for our Sector Secrets folks is just having a little bit more insight into that pre-market. So when do I start working on that? I will start working on the levels around 8:30, because I'm doing the show at 9. But it really doesn't take much more than 10 minutes. So even when we join the chat at 9:20, what am I going to look at? So what ranges then am I looking at? So first of all, it's when do I start looking at it? Like I said, it can be as early as 8:30, or you can wait till 10, 15 minutes before the bell. Either is fine. And then how far back do I go? The European Open. Yeah, I'll go back to the European Open. So when we talk about pre-market, it's not just 7 a.m. Eastern forward. I'll go to 2 a.m. Eastern forward. And I'm looking at volume ranges. I'm looking at VWAPs. I'm looking at my hourly price movement ranges. I'm looking at the multi-trend. And we have 5 things we look at for pre-market. But getting that jump on the pre-market. For example, yesterday, we had a really nice short early in the morning, in and out before 11 a.m. Eastern. in the NASDAQ. And the NASDAQ was sort of a front runner for what I wanted to short. So there are a lot of things that we can do to be a little bit more prepared. So I want those before the bell, and I'll start looking at those ranges, either 8:30 or 9:20, and I'll go back to 2 a.m. All right, next up is between HPMR. Hey there, Trader Momo. Between HPMR and Darvis, I don't feel that high risk is there. Crushed it this morning. Thanks. No, I appreciate that, Trader Momo. That's super kind of you. But I think, you've been with me a while. And I think your risk tolerance muscle, right, for what we do is probably stronger than most. It's very much like going to the gym first day, right? My goal when I went to the gym, when I was doing a lot of heavy lifting in the gym, I wanted to squat 2.25 for reps, right? That's a big number, right? So I wanted to do that. Now, had my trainer put me under 2.25 for reps on the squat bar, I probably would be in the hospital. Yeah. We got there slowly. Just like we build a muscle in the gym, we build a muscle for risk tolerance. But today was a pretty darn good morning. Yeah. Today was a pretty darn good morning. I'm with you. But mainly because we've already accepted what the risk is, right? Before we go enter the trade. We've already said, hey, worst case scenario is this. And you know what? I love this. I don't know how many of you are fans of Ryan Holiday, Daily Stoic. This is my favorite. I don't know if y'all can see that. This is my favorite coin. I love this thing. Can y'all see that? Premeditatio malorum. Love this. And what does that mean? All the terms of a human lot should be before our eyes. Well, all the terms of my Forex futures, stock, options contracts should be before my eyes. So if I've already said, hey, this dollar amount or this percentage amount is my worst case scenario for this trade, it could happen. I've already accepted it. And then now I can go on to putting the trade on. So I appreciate that. And that's a lot of what we focus on for sure in the mastery. I would love to see NASDAQ continue lower, but I'm off that train for now. We'll look to re-engage it after the bell. Yeah, we'll look to re-engage it after the bell. All right. Next up is, so the initial reaction, non-farm payroll is bullish and it reverses. Which do you lean on? The zones. Green eggs and ham, just like you saw the zones that I shared earlier, those are already determined. We determined those early today because I wanted to walk the Sector Secrets Mastery folks through the levels. We had those already determined 5 minutes before NFP. So either price gets up into that range or it doesn't. Yeah, or it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So we had that predetermined. And then if, like, for example, the ES never got there, and I'm not going to force the trade. Yeah. Okay. And then, like I said, we'll just, so in terms of now, right now, will I look for another setup? Yeah, I'm going to realign to what, so remember 8 to 9 a.m. presents me a certain historical volatility tendency. 9 to 10, which is what we've moved on to, will give me another historical volatility tendency. And so now I'll lean. So what am I going to lean on now? An echo of 8:30. Right. So if I knew what I did at 8:30, and now the folks who don't trade futures or Forex are now going to have their shot at expressing their opinion, I'll look for an echo of what happened at 8:30, but I've aligned to brand new zones. Right. I hope that makes sense. All right. Speaking of brand new zones and getting started, I'm going to jump into the Sector Secrets Mastery. Gang, if you wanted to kick the tires on that thing and join me, two things. One, we have our sale going on right now. So check that out. HPMRs are on sale. Sector Secrets Mastery is on sale. It's roughly a third off. That's in my mind. I like to let you all know when we have sales because that's that much more capital you can put in your trading account and join us in the mastery. So check it out, simpletrading.com. I will see you all on Sunday for our Sunday evening show, 6 p.m. In the meanwhile, it's non-farm payroll Friday, gang. Heads up, a lot of volatility. Let's see how the markets respond to what we now know about the jobs picture, which really wasn't all that great. All right, gang, be good to each other. I'll talk with you soon.